So now we are owner. So you would think that if you go in game and then press on stuff, it would work, but it doesn't. Before we start the tutorial, I quickly want to say something. Yeah, it's 20 minutes long and I could have made it 2 minutes by just showing you the steps, but I want to help you get the server running, but also make sure you understand what stuff means. And so if you need to make changes, you know where to go. Also, take a look in the video description. There will be all the links and all the things that I'm be typing out or copy and pasting will be written out there, so you can just copy and paste it yourself. And there will also be links for you to click on to see certain topics. Have fun. Hey everybody, welcome to another video. This is going to be an educational video on how to set up your own server for the game Rust, and it's going to be a vanilla server, so no mods and no plugins, etc. Basically, technically there are no mods, there are only plugins, but yeah, so just a vanilla server, and I will show you how to install Oxide, which is the mainframe that everything is, all the plugins are working on. I will show you how to do that in upcoming videos, how to install plugins, how to configure them. Some are really easy, just drag and drop them into a certain folder and they're done. Others need configuration, some need certain privileges, so you have to set up privileges for certain groups or for certain players, and this can be a little bit of a mountain of information and things to figure out. So I'm just starting with the basic, how to get a server running. Simple server, it's vanilla. You will be able to join it because it's going to be running on your computer, and depending on your firewall and router settings, you might need to be doing some configurations there if you want to be able to other people or your friends to join you and mess around on the server, for example, to test your aim, to fight the Bradley, to look for tactics, how to do that, to fight helicopters and see what the best bases or best tactics are for that, or do whatever. It's up to you, and that's kind of the fun thing about Rust. It's some people are there for the building, some people are there for the PvP, some people are there for the raiding, some just like the survival aspect of it. It's like up to you. And in, for example, a game like Ark, you can very easily like from in the game set up your own local server and just mess around, and that's what some people like to do. Have no one bothering you, just go build and fly around and look for stuff and test stuff. Unfortunately, it's not really from the game, there's not really hints on how to set up your own servers. There are tons of tutorials here, so you might think, why make another one? I just want to start at the basic, work up, and then be able to reference to older videos and tell people like, go this if you want to learn how to do this, and go there, and eventually have like a big library of videos and educational things on how to admin, set up, configure, whatever, your own Rust server. So this should be fun. So let's dive right in. Okay, so what do we need to get this up and running? We need SteamCMD, which is a free program you can download. I will put the link in the description, and you can use this to download all the files that you need automatically. So that's super handy. Then you basically can already run the server and it's done. There's a lot of configuration, especially if you want to make it modded, but you have to still then set up the name, set up a password and stuff for it. This is not a password to join the server, but this is a password to later on to moderate the server. But I'll show you. So we're gonna get SteamCMD, and this is the link, and I'll put this in the description. This will download a zip file, and it will just have the SteamCMD in there. And what I did, I made a folder on my disk. Doesn't really matter where you put it, just somewhere you remember. Don't put it on your desktop, that's not good. So I have a folder, test server. Don't put any spaces in it to make it easier. Doesn't really matter, but yeah. We're gonna drag it into there. We don't need this, and we don't need this. So now we're gonna run this one as an administrator. And then it's gonna download the newest version of SteamCMD, or basically it's gonna download SteamCMD and make sure it's the newest version. It's gonna take a few seconds, and it's done. So now all the files are here for SteamCMD. This is still nothing, has still nothing to do really with Rust. So now we're going to open it up, and we are going to type login anonymous, and it says connecting to Steam anonymously, login, okay, waiting for user info, connecting, logged in, okay, waiting for user info, okay. And now it says do your next thing. So we're gonna say force install dir, and that's force installation directory. So basically we're going to tell it or force it basically where to where to install. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to make a new folder, or right click new folder, whatever you want to do, and I usually do Rust server itself or something, whatever you want. You can also put everything from the SteamCMD into one folder and then put it in here, whatever you want to do. So now we're in the Rust server folder itself, and if you click here, it will show you the path. So that's what we're going to type here: e rust test server / rust server itself. So that's e rust test server rust server itself. Done. So now we told it where to install, and you will see it puts a Steam apps folder in there. So now we're going to tell it to app update 258.550, and that's basically the Rust files. And then if we press enter, it will now download. You will see it takes a little bit for it to connect, and it will tell you the progress, and you will see the files start appearing in here. So this, depending on your internet, will take a little bit, but this will basically download all the files that you need, and I'll be back when this is finished. Let's do the final configuration and make yourself admin, and then let's call it a day, or let's call it a tutorial. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a new text document. I already did that, and we're going to paste, or I'm going to put this in the server in the video description, and I'm going to explain what it means really quick. So this is a we're going to make a batch file out of this, or basically I already made one here, but we're going to make a new one now, and this is basically talking to the Rust dedicated server, and it's starting with these properties. So you're basically telling it, when you start up, use these settings for your server. So what does this all mean? Every time you see the little plus, it means there's another parameter or another setting being executed. So in this case, we start up with the server port, and you can leave this as default unless you know what you're doing. Long story short, your firewall needs certain ports to connect to the internet, and this way you tell it which port to use for what kind of settings. There's 3 settings that I will get into, and for your main one, I would recommend just leaving it default unless you know what you're doing. Then it tells it we want to use a procedural map, and you also can use Baron or Hapis Island or Savas Island or Savas Island Koth. I will put a link in the description where this is all also, basically the whole tutorial is written out. So we're going to use a procedural map. This is probably what you're used to, and we have to tell it a seed. And a seed is basically a number alongside the server size, which is the next parameter, and the server seed basically determine what map you choose. And there are a website that you can browse all the server size and all the seeds that I will also show you in another tutorial before you choose a server seed and a server size. And if you choose exactly the same server seed and size as me here, you will get exactly the same map generated from the procedurally generated map by Rust. So you will get exactly the same thing as I have. So for now, leave it like this if you want to. And the server size is 1000, which is really small. But if it's just a testing server just for you and maybe a couple of friends, this will be way better in performance. The next parameter is max players. Pretty self-explanatory. Don't go too high with this. Don't go 100, 200 if you don't have the hardware for it to support it, because you need like at least 6 gigabytes to run pretty good on a server. So if it's just for you, just lower it to like 10 or 50. Leave it like this, because the chance that people are going to randomly join your server, it's possible, because it will show up in the server list if you're when it's running, but the chance that people are joining a server with just 1 guy on it, or 4 people, whatever, a small group is pretty small. So the next one is the host name, and this is basically the name of your server. So you can, between the quotes, you can do whatever you want. I'm just going to leave it to my server name for now. And then we got the server identity, which is basically in here. It's going to create a folder, and if you give it a certain identity, it will basically put a folder with this name and then put all the folders or all the files in there. So that's more like a organizational thing than really important. Then next one is the Archon IP, and Archon stands for remote console. And basically meaning you can remotely, so from not on the server, you can run commands, and probably you'll think you'll never use this, but you will need this. Just leave it on 127.0.0.1, so basically local for now, because we're going to use a program which is also running locally on our computer, so it's on the same computer as where the server is running, so we don't need to put an IP in here for now. Then the Archon port, which should be the same as the game port +1. So this is 1.5, this is 1.6. Then the Archon passport, this is what we're going to put into our website or in our computer. In our computer program, we're gonna use RustAdmin, I think it's called, to use our Archon credentials here with our password to log into the server, and from there we can look at all the people who are online. We can give people stuff, we can teleport people, you can ban people, you can kick people from there, you can see your server settings, how everything is running, and you can also run commands from there. And this is also how we're going to make ourselves admin. So these settings are kind of important. Please use like a password generator or some powerful password, because 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 is not that good. Then the query port is kind of the same thing as the Archon port, so you can leave it the same as the Archon port. The nav disable is the animals. What that means is if you it's a little bit confusing because you're saying true or false on the disable. So if you true the disable on the nav, so it is disabled, then the animals will not move. And if you set it to false, then it's not disabled, so the animals will move. But that is a little bit harder, a little bit more a hit on your performance. So if you have the animals running, so you set this to false, this will be more a hit on your performance. So if you're having trouble, just disable it again. But it's a lot more fun if the animals are running. So I would set this to false, but I like to leave it to true, just if I'm testing stuff, because I'm not really going to kill the animals anyway. And this is no logs load. Don't even know. This is how I got it. Just leave it in there. So now what we're going to do, we're going to say save as, and then you can give it a name, whatever you want. It doesn't have to be start. And then we're going to add .bat in the end and set this to all files. I will just use a new name, because otherwise it's going to ask me if I want to override it, because I already made one. So I made a start, then I close this. So now we got this start too, and if I double click this now, you can see all the settings that we just put in. It's going to open that Rust server window again, and we should get our little screen with the server, and it says server startup complete with the FPS, and it's running. So now if we go to our Rust again, and I just press arrow up to see the last comment that I used, which is the connect comment, you can see that the server is running again and I'm connecting, but we're still not admin. So what we're gonna do, you can see here we're back on our server, and now it's the small island, because I changed the map size to 1K with a different seed, so it's a way smaller island. But we're still not admin, we cannot spawn anything in. So now we're going to get a program. You can see here RustAdmin, and I will put the link in the description, in the video description, so you can download this. So this is basically a program to help you manage your server, and I'm going to go in depth in this program and Archon way more, but one sec. So I'm going to go into Archon way more and this tool, because this is basically an Archon tool, a remote console tool. But for now, we're just going to go make ourselves admin. So we're going to copy these settings. So we go to configuration, and it will probably say experimental. Choose the web Archon. IP address, localhost, so 1.127.1.1.1. Wow. Sorry, 127.0.0.1. And the server port 280.15 or whatever you changed it to, and then the Archon port is this server port +1, so .6, and our password is 1234567. And auto reconnect is if you lose connection from the server or you're restarting the server, should it automatically try to reconnect. I just leave that on. And if you only have one server, you can turn on that it automatically connects to this server when you start up RustAdmin. But since I have multiple servers, I turn this off so I can choose then which server I want to connect to. So then if we press save, it will probably ask you what name do you want to give it. Press OK, but for me, I'm just saving it to my local settings. And then if you go here to server on the top and press connect, it will say on the bottom connected with your name, which is for me my server name. And it says server FPS, that never works, I don't know why. And then players 1 to 50, and that's me. From my country, how many hours I have in Rust, how many hours I have on the server. Well, it's a third time actually I host this server locally, so that doesn't really count, but it's correct. My IP address, which is local because I'm connecting locally. If I'm using a virtual private network, if you know what it is, you know what it does. So we need to get our SteamID to make ourselves admin. So what I like to do is just go Shift Tab. Okay, so now we need to make ourselves admin. So what I like to do, I like to go into the game and open up my browser. And then if I go to click on my picture, it will in the top show me the link, and then the number in the link, the last number, excuse me again, the last number is then your SteamID. So I copy that and go back to my RustAdmin. Then if I do at the bottom here owner ID and then paste my SteamID, and then give myself a name, so in this case I will do Ted, and press enter, it says edit owner ID Ted with the SteamID 76 blah, 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 blah. So now we are owner. So you would think that if you go in game and then press on stuff, it would work, but it doesn't. You need to rejoin. That doesn't work, so we're going to do F1. That's kind of a good thing to show also. If you go to escape and you go to info, which is normally displaying the information of the server that you're connected to. If it's a local server, it doesn't really display this properly. So it doesn't, normally there's a disconnect button here, that's not there. The information that says Amsterdam 2, that's not what it's called. And this is also not my information, so that's a little bit weird. So in this case, to disconnect, we're just gonna type disconnect, and then we're gonna go client.connect again, and it will tell on the server now that I has connected with Auth level 2. Auth level 2, it's a really big Auth level 2. So I have authentication level number 2, which is the highest one. You also have authentication level number 1, which is moderator, which is basically admins. It's basically exactly the same, but this is called an owner, the other one is called a moderator, and the players have authentication level number 0, or yeah, level 0. So now if we go back into the game, we can actually spawn everything, whatever we want. First thing I spawn is a rock, because that's what you do when you can spawn everything you want. You get some rocks. So now you're admin, so you can now fly around. I will tell you how to in the next video, but you have the rights to fly and spawn in stuff and basically do anything you want now. So I will show you how to use this tool more and how to give other people things, how to teleport people, and and a lot more also how to install Oxide, how to configure plugins, etc, etc, etc. So I hope this was useful, and if you have any questions, please leave them below in the comment section, and I try to answer them if I know the answer and help you guys. If you want to learn something or have a specific plugin you have questions about or something, let me know. I'm here to help, and I want to make these videos because I think it's fun to do and help people out. So thank you for watching, and as always, I'm out. Peace. See ya.